Hey everyone, Will Nichols here. In this one I wanted to share my thoughts on the 2018 Severne Fox 120. I was trying this board for the first time in Vasiliki in a Force 5 with a 7.5 metre sail. This is easily my favourite freeride / slalom board that I've ever sailed on, and I'll explain why. Let's start with how quick it takes to plane. With just a few small pumps of the sail, I was able to glide the board out of the water and onto the plane. And because the rocket isn't too steep, it feels very steady whilst transitioning from off the plane to on the plane. You think that maybe having a shallow rocker would reduce its ability to plane earlier, but they managed to combat this by making the nose thinner. So there you go, thumbs up straight off the bat. So how well does it deal with chop? With a lot of performance boards, they're not designed for comfort, which means despite being the fastest on the water, your ankles might not like you very much for taking every bump straight to your feet. The Fox is a different story though, as it has clearly had that dose of comfort added when the designers were creating the board. I really couldn't feel a thing. As soon as there was a bit of chop, the board just skimmed smoothly over the top. Okay, so now for the best part. If you thought all of that wasn't enough to convince you, then let me tell you about the way that it jibes. The Fox will make your time carve jibing an absolute park walk. Digging the rail in, initiating the turn and holding the speed the whole way through the turn is just so easy. I would comfortably plane out of most of the jibes I did with this board, and the times where I didn't, it was mostly just down to poor technique. But seriously, it's just so forgiving and would be perfect for those who are doing a lot of carve jibes but are having difficulty either holding the speed or planing out of them consistently. I'm no expert at carve jibes, but I can certainly say that I've done some of my best ones on this board. Let's take some time to talk about speed. If you consider this a pure freeride board, it's not. And the same goes if you want to label it as a performance board, it's not. It is, however, the perfect balance between the two. In terms of speed, it's bloody quick and will definitely give you the advantage on the water, even if you aren't the most skilled windsurfer on the water. A quick side note, I got taught a new technique whilst riding this board. If you want to go that little bit faster for longer, try holding onto the up haul with the front hand. This will keep the sail upright whilst allowing you to get as far out and away from the kit as possible, which also allows you to drive off the fin even harder whilst keeping the sail in that perfect position. Can the board help with alternative moves? I managed to pull off a nice downwind 360 on the Fox, and to be honest, it did feel very comfortable, so yes, of course you can. So if this board is being targeted at intermediate riders, then I'd say that if you're on the lower end of the spectrum, then you could struggle with the outboard foot straps at first. The idea with the outboard foot straps is that the board can behave more like a performance board when it needs to, as it enables you to really drive off the fin. The small issue, again, if you've just transitioned into an intermediate level, is the reduced volume in the nose. If you're trying to tack frequently, you could find yourself sinking the nose on the way round and ending up in the water quite a lot. However, if your tacks are on point, then you won't have a problem whipping around the board and coming out the other side. The other thing to note is the price tag. At over £1,000, it really could dent your wallet. But I can honestly say that if you're someone who windsurfs regularly, just loves to go back and forth carve jibing every now and then, I really do think it's worth it, and especially if you want one board in the locker. So to wrap things up, the Severne Fox is an incredible freeride / performance board that will continue to satisfy a broad range of windsurfers in that intermediate category that are looking for a lot of fun.